In this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast, me and my brother James, we are going to fast forward until the 2026 NBA Draft. Why is that? That's because AJ Dybantsa and Cayden Boozer put on an absolute show in San Diego yesterday. James and I, we're going to share our thoughts on the performance of the two guys that some people believe are the two best prospects in the world right now. That would be the top two picks in the 2025 draft if they were eligible. Now that's up for debate, but these two guys are going to be names that you're going to hear a lot from us on the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast over the next year. Stay tuned for this episode where we will talk about Cayden Boozer and AJ Dybantsa. Shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Rafael Barlowe, along with my brother, James Barlowe. And before we get into this episode, I want to let you know that it is brought to you by Game Time. Now, through September 22nd, you still have about 6 days left. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and you can get a 3-week free trial of the NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube or YouTube TV. All you have to do is visit fanduel.com to get started. And if you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please like, share, comment, subscribe. That is the best way to help us grow the channel because we are back to 5 days per week. So if you love the NBA draft, then you got to check us out because we are here every day, 5 days a week, maybe even 6. Who knows? We got a lot to talk about. And in this episode, like I mentioned in the open, we are going to fast forward until the 2026 NBA draft. And that's because it was an absolute show. It was probably one of the best shot-making displays I've seen from a prospect in a long time. And I'm talking about AJ Dybantsa. And even though he had on like just an awesome shot-making display, he may not have even been the best player on the floor. And that's how good Cayden Boozer was. And so I'll set the tone. They played at the Advanced Latitude or Latitude Classic in San Diego. And the part that's tripping me out is that it's like September, mid-September, and we've got like high-level high school basketball being played. Not like, your little preseason local tournaments. This is like two of the best players in the country facing off in San Diego. The Boozer twins go to school in Florida. AJ goes to school in Utah, and they're playing in San Diego. So the first thing I'm thinking, like, there's no more offseason in basketball. I mean, we know there wasn't an offseason, but now you're getting like high-level competition in September. What was your first thoughts about that?
My first thought was yes, like these dudes are playing in September. When I was in high school way back in the day, we didn't have a team in September. Like,
It's like
we had
conditioning.
yeah, it was conditioned. Like I was on the track. So that's crazy. Another thing is the game is in San Diego. How is that high school not jam-packed
Yeah.
to see the two top prospects in the world? Like there were seats available, like a lot of seats available. And again, I understand there's no connection to it because the Boozers are from Florida, AJ Dybantsa is worldwide. I mean, but like
Yeah, from Boston area, played at Prolific Prep, which is in Northern California.
right.
Now he's
Played for the
at
Oakland
Utah Prep.
Soldiers. Yeah,
Yeah,
so he's worldwide. And I'm like, the gym was it was like 75% capacity, at least from the camera angle that I saw, which it doesn't make sense, but
same camera angle everybody saw.
that's true too.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like I mean, I'm cool with it. We don't need an off season. Like let the kids go. But yeah, it was high level. It was very, very entertaining. American basketball is not going anywhere anytime soon, especially with these two young fellas. So it was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was definitely fun to watch. Again, I'm tripping off the fact that we got this matchup in September. And yes, I did notice that like the crowd was not crazy packed. So let's talk about the two players. AJ Dybantsa, who is rated as the number one prospect by a lot of different boards. And that's arguably because there are a lot of people that think Cayden Boozer is the best prospect. AJ is down to 7 schools which is Alabama, Auburn, Baylor, BYU, Kansas, Kansas State, and North Carolina. And then you got Cameron Boozer, who, along with his twin brother, Cayden Boozer, the son of former Duke Blue Devil Carlos Boozer. They are expected to choose between Florida, Miami, and Duke. Even though I read that North Carolina feels that they're really still in the mix, and they might be. That would be very interesting to see the Boozer twins.
Didn't their mom go to Duke too, though?
That sounds familiar. I'm not for sure,
I
but it'll
think
be
their
very
mom went
interesting
to
to
They're not going
see,
to
yeah, to
Carolina.
see them in Chapel Hill. But let's set the stage. AJ had 43 points, and then Cameron Boozer had 42 points, and then Cayden Boozer, who quietly had 30 points and 9 assists. But let's talk about AJ. I thought it was like some of the best display of elite shot making that I've seen on any level. He was 14 of 23 from the floor, 8 of 13 from three, 7 of 7 from the foul line. He had 43 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. But it was a variety of just absolutely tough shots. Some of them were just tough contested shots, but overall, like, what did you see out of his performance that made you say, "Wow"?
Well, for one, if I was guarding him, if I was one of those kids or many of those kids, I wouldn't even be mad because he was making some incredible shots, like hands all in his face.
No
He's
landing space on
no
the
landing
jumpers.
space.
Yeah,
Yeah, like he is a tough shot taker, maker in the vein of Shea Gilgeous. He is not as slippery as Shea. He's
nobody is.
obviously he's like 4 inches taller somehow than Shea. But a lot of the stuff that you get from Shea Gilgeous where you be like, man, he just makes tough shots. Like if he gets to a spot, is going in, and AJ Dybantsa has that. And he plays hard. He has a motor, and you know what? He had 43, and I lost track, but there were at least like three catch and shoot threes he could have shot just because he could. But like he likes to hold the ball, and maybe that's something that catches up to him a little later, or not catches up to him. Maybe that's something he figures out. I can get easier shots. Nobody can check me, but this catch and shoot three is because he can shoot. Like
Yeah,
he can really shoot. So there are opportunities for him to improve in that aspect, but he's unreal, man. And I don't know how tall he is. That 6'10" that I saw floating around is crazy. If he's 6'10", good luck. I think he's 6'8", but we'll see. It doesn't
yeah.
even matter,
It
but
does. It doesn't matter. If he's 6'10", that makes him even more appealing. But yeah, I mean, the shot making was crazy. I was taking notes. I literally took notes of every bucket that he made. I mean, whether it was like left to right hesitation, 3 ball pull up jumpers. He has some mellow in his game. Carmelo with the mid post where it's like the physical bang bang pull up elevate over the top. I saw him do that a couple times. He made like a 3 pointer at the end of the shot clock. I mean, it was like face up NBA threes, drive middle floaters, pull up threes from the wing. I just thought he did a little bit of everything. It was kind of like the Tupac song, "How Do You Want It?" And that's what he was giving every defender. How do you want it? You want me to go by you? Okay, I'll go by you. All right, you want to give me space so I can knock down this three? I'll do that. All right, you want to crowd me? I'm gonna still make this pull up three. There were some plays where he got a little I don't want to say aggressive, but played around with his food too much with the ball, was showing off the handles. But even
yeah.
then, I was still like amazed that it was like one play where he was on like the right slot wing and he hit Cayden Boozer with like a behind the back crossover behind the back. And he only needs a little, I mean, just a little bit of space to get his shot off. And again, that's just elite level shot making. And I mean, you don't really see that on like a lot of levels, but for him to do it at allegedly 6'10", with the way, I mean, he's just a natural scorer. I mean, the scoring instincts are incredible.
Yeah, I know what player you're talking about. He had a possession at the top of the key where he probably dribbled for about 15 seconds.
Like you did yesterday. Me and James
Hey,
were playing basketball yesterday, and James had this possession. If there was a shot clock, we would have been down to 5. But he made the three though, and I had
and,
it
and,
on
get, and
him.
guess who else made the shot? AJ made the shot. I mean, hey, real recognized real, granddad. But that would be my only, I wouldn't say only, but one of my biggest things is that he could just get caught up handling the ball a lot. I mean, but sometimes you just got to live with it because like he is just unbelievably good at basketball. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I know his list of college choices are everywhere. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could just be like, yo, go give me the Boozer twins on September, whatever day it was, and like he just needs something. It'd be interesting, like, well, who does Utah prep? I want to see their schedule. Do they get prolific prep? Like who is there left for him to match up? Like he's tough, man.
All right. In the second segment, we're going to talk about Cayden Boozer, who had 42 points. I mean, like, I'll get into his stat line in the second segment. But as good as AJ was, you can make a case and say Cameron was even better because he stuffed the stat sheet. But before we get into the second segment, let's talk about FanDuel because you've heard us talk about FanDuel, which is America's #1 sports book. You've heard us talk about it in plenty of episodes. Well, we have something a little bit different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5, just $5. You can get a 3-week free trial of the NFL Sunday ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with your YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. So just visit fanduel.com and download America's #1 sports book. Once again, big thank you for making the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. Now, for your second listen of the day, you have to check out the Locked On NBA podcast because there is no offseason in the NBA. And the Locked On NBA podcast provides daily basketball analysis from the national and local experts, and you get it in 30 minutes or less. No one keeps you more informed and that's entertained. That's Locked On NBA. It is available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. It is part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day, every single day. All right, second segment, AJ Dybantsa. Again, we talked about, the shot making, 43 points, just from a variety of ways, whether it's hesitation, pull-ups, mid-range, contested threes, got to the rack. But you can make a case and say that he wasn't the best player on the floor. Maybe was the most exciting or dynamic, but when it came to production, Cayden Boozer was incredible. 42 points, 15 rebounds. He was the MVP of the tournament. And then hold on, let me pull these stats out for you. 42 points, 15 rebounds, 15 of 23 from the field, and was 11 of 15 from the foul line. But he also chipped in 5 assists and 5 blocks and no turnovers. What were your overall thoughts on Cayden Boozer's game?
He might be #1, Raf. Is
Yeah, I think it's going to be an acquired taste. I think it's going to be a
you think
debate.
so?
I think so. I mean, I think some people may look at the NBA and say, hey, man, wings are, having a dynamic wing is more important than having a modern day big. So I think I think there's a chance that it's going to be either or. I think it's maybe 50-50.
Well, let me tell you something. Sometimes dudes disrupt the way stuff is, and he might be a disruptor because he can post up. He got footwork. He got that from his pops, right? He can shoot. He can really, really pass.
Yeah.
And he can you see the rebounding numbers, and he rebounds and he can initiate offense. Now, is he the explosive athlete that Cooper Flag or Giannis is? No. But like he might be a disruptor where you just say, you know what? He might end up being like the better guy long term. I know people might come for me on Twitter because this is not even a knock on AJ. This is like Cayden Boozer is like legit really, really good. And he's not just stronger than everybody. Like he's got turnaround jumper, he's got face up game, just super fundamental. Like he is legit. Like he might be a disruptor where you just say, you know what, modern basketball is that's great, but he's great. And this is who we go with. And in that particular draft, both teams are gonna win.
Who's
So
ever
whoever
number?
goes
Yeah.
1 and 2.
6'9", 235. I mean, just broad shoulders, strong frame. I mean, even like his legs, strong lower body. And I mean, he does it all. I would say, like, if I had to choose who I'm going to watch from an excitement standpoint, is AJ, no doubt. Because AJ's exciting. He's going to hit you with the crossovers, the step backs. The shot making is going to be a little bit more appealing. But if I wanted to win a game, I think right now, if I wanted to win a game, I need to choose between the two. I think I may go with Cameron, even though Cameron does have an advantage by playing with his brother. I mean,
Hey, he's hold on real quick. He's good. Is
Cayden,
he NBA good? I don't know. Cayden Boozer?
yeah, I think he's
He's
good.
he's
Yeah.
good. He can shoot.
Yeah, and we'll
So
talk about him a little bit more in the last segment.
okay, okay. Just wanted to make sure. But as far as Cameron Boozer goes, like he just he does a lot of everything. And it's
At a
like he
high
had
level.
we yeah, at a high, and he can handle the basketball. So it's not like he's just some lumbering. I had mentioned before that he's like a modern Kevin Love, and like that might have been disrespectful to him because like he can handle the basketball and create offense off the dribble. So like in today's NBA, when your three can't shoot or whatever, you can get away with playing a three at the four. Like he's going to be able to abuse those guys because he's going to be bigger than them, stronger than them. He'll still be able to post. And then in pick and pop, if you want to put somebody his size on him, minus the handful of guys that are his size, if you attack the closeout and he, pump fakes or whatever, like he can attack the closeout, excuse me, not if you attack him to stop him from shooting, he can put the ball on the floor and like he can rebound and push and like he's just a really, really good passer. And he's the most polished high school prospect I've seen since I can't even think of a person. Because like most of the kids at this level, you see them and it's like, oh man, look, well, what happens when he's not the most athletic guy? Or what happens when, this like he's a good athlete, but he's not the most athletic, but he like dominates every single person he
Yeah.
goes up against.
He's a guy that when you watch him, you're like, there's not a lot of flaws in his game.
And that might be scary because do you think it's almost like how much better can he get? Because he does everything so well at 17.
Yeah, and I mean he's physically mature. He's already kind of in his grown man
Oh
body.
yeah, yeah, he
They got
definitely
him at,
shaving with the Bic.
I mean, he's been shaving for a long time. 6'9", 235. But when I was taking notes, I was like, man, he does it all. Face ups. Face up, going left. It was kind of like a slow Smitty, but he had the move where he faced up, went left baseline, and then I think AJ was guarding him, and AJ gambled like he was going off the left shoulder hook, and then he spun back, reverse layup. Not a whole bunch of stuff above the rim, but I mean his game is just so diverse. He can shoot the ball, he can make threes, he can attack a closeout, he can post up, he has counter moves, and he
He
also does
grabs
the dirty work.
every he grabs every rebound without being an above the rim guy.
Yeah, like boxes out. And his dad was a really, really strong rebounder without playing above the rim, but he does the dirty work too. So he's a player that I look at and it's like, man, he can score 30 points in a game. And you're like, that was clearly in the flow of the offense. Like no forced shots, offensive rebounds, putbacks, running the floor, face up threes. And it was interesting because there was a play where he got the ball on the perimeter and he handled the ball and he drove all the way to the rim, but it was like a half Euro step, side step, floater.
When he
And
went left
he
from the
went
right wing.
he was on at least the video I watched, he was on the left side of the court. So he was driving right and then he hit
Okay.
it. But I mean, it was like he didn't blow by the guy with like a lightning quick first step, but nobody was stopping him from putting the ball on the floor. Then he can go coast to coast. And I will say that he can probably get 6 points a game from great chemistry with his brother
Oh yeah, that's
because
definitely fair. Yeah.
because there are times where his brother goes up for a shot and at the last minute he dumps it off and then Cameron finishes. So I do think that there is an advantage there, but I mean, realistically, there's not a lot of holes in his game. And so for you, and like one of the questions I was gonna ask you is who do you have as number one? And so you're saying right now, if you had to choose between the two, you would go with Cameron Boozer?
Yeah, and I say that not necessarily reluctantly because it's like it's hard to pick against AJ. Like he's such a dynamic shot maker, but there is, I'm making stuff up. The kids of 17, I can't predict the future, but there is a case where he is too ball dominant, isolation dominant for you to be like, I don't want to say that. You can win with him, but like there's a level of how much of a playmaker is he going to be at the next level? Because right now, and basically everywhere he plays, he's clearly the best player on his team, right? So it's like, what does it look like when he has to make plays for other guys? Or what does it look like when he doesn't get 19, 20 shots a game? You know what I'm saying? But like Cameron Boozer, I have no worries about what's going to translate with him, even though he's not an above the rim athlete. Like he is so smart and skilled right now at 17. It's like 2 years from now, plug him in, he's gonna be ready to go. And it's gonna be like really, really good. It's not Jokic. Jokic does not wow you physically. I mean, outside of him just bullying people, but just
Mm.
he's just a really good basketball. Now, Jokic's passing is amazing, and really his touch around the basket is amazing, but like his physical advantages aren't he doesn't pass the eye test of what today's NBA is because he's a disruptor. That's how I think Cameron Boozer is.
All right, when we return in this last segment, we're going to talk about Cayden Boozer again, who had a good game himself, 30 points, 9 assists. But I want to talk about the passing between AJ and Cameron. Is that the biggest difference between them as far as what could possibly lead to them being the number one pick in the 2026 NBA draft? Stay tuned. All right, last segment. So we talked about the passing a little bit. I want to dive a little deeper into that. Cameron Boozer is a good, good passer. Whether it's out the double teams, he's finding guys, whether it's I mean, like there was a play where he got a rebound and threw an outlet in like the same motion, like very Kevin Love like. And the Kevin Love comparison is interesting. I know, like right off the top of your head, people are gonna be like, "What?" because they don't look alike. But I almost can see it as like a slimmer Kevin Love, but is able to attack closeouts and do a little bit more off the dribble. Because Kevin Love, I mean, those Kevin Love Minnesota numbers, like 26 and 20. He was shooting the
That 30
three
30 game, man.
and posting up. But yeah, if Cameron Boozer can, and Cameron Boozer provides a little bit more rim protection. Now, whether that translates to the NBA as a rim protector, that's something that is a different subject. But the passing was phenomenal. And then when I watch AJ pass, it's almost like he shows you that he can make the right reads. He does show you that he has decent vision. He's not all tunnel vision, but it's like the passes that he does make or the assists that he does collect are kind of like Kobe Bryant assists. It's like I'm looking to
Uh-oh.
score
Be
first,
careful.
second, and third.
Be careful. Don't say nothing bad about
I
Kobe.
mean, Kobe averaged like I mean, Kobe was a really good passer if he
Yeah.
wanted to be. I think if he wanted to
Oh yeah,
be,
he could make every pocket
yeah,
pass
he
and
can
pick
make
guard if he wanted
every pass and every read. And I think not saying AJ can do that, but he can make reads, but it's more so of a reactive passer where it's like
to.
I'm getting to the cup and all right, I don't have the shot, but I'm athletic enough to hang in the air to find this
Yeah.
guy. While Boozer is like gets the ball in the post. He reads and surveys the floor. All right, is the double coming? All right, no double, I'm a score. All right, the double's coming from this man, then I'm a find. I mean, it's like he dissects
Or
defenses.
Or it just may be like, you know what? We just running the offense. And yes, I can get whatever I want, but I caught the ball in the elbow. I know there's a backdoor cut coming here. I'm gonna throw it in here. And it keeps the defense honest because like the difference between the two, again, obviously they play two different positions, but like that position that we talked about where AJ was just dancing with the ball like he was me at the top of the key, and it was elbows and boxes, right? And it's just like, all right, if he makes that shot, man, it's whatever. We can't do nothing about that.
He had
Whereas
a lot of
like,
those.
and he did have a lot of those, but it's like eventually he can't make every shot. But like Cayden Boozer's like, you know what? I'm gonna get my 40 and it's gonna come within the flow of the offense. I'm gonna still hit guys. Everybody's gonna eat, and it's gonna look like the easiest 40 points ever. Whereas AJ, as talented as he is, it's tough. Now, I do think AJ is a willing passer, but like you said, it's a oh shoot, here comes help pass. And there's no shame in that because again,
Yeah.
if people can't guard you and you do make that read and you find guys that are open, like that's great. Like he's a better he has better vision than other guys his age who are just as highly or not as high who are highly touted scorers. So I'm not saying he's not going to be like a really good playmaker. I just think that Cayden Boozer right now is going to give you reads out of everything sooner than later. So like he already has his unfair advantage with his brother, but you pair him in the NBA with a dynamic pick and roll point guard, you have to blitz that guy. Well, Cayden Boozer's going to find whatever you want. He can looks like he can do dribble handoff. He can just like he's going to be an offensive hub in a sense where we trust him to be your secondary passer, even though he's going to be a four man.
They even had him initiating the offense some. Like he was again, rebound. It was like he get a rebound and he could go coast to coast. He get a rebound, pass it to his brother, run the floor, or he can get a rebound and bring it up himself, which I think we talked about in the Kyler Murray Boyles episode. Get a rebound, bring it up yourself, and then go right into a dribble handoff and then initiate the offense from there. And I think Boozer is going to be able to do that. I will say, I think that's the next step for AJ to become a better playmaker.
Mhm.
But I get it, man. You're 17. You can score whenever you want to score. And your mindset could probably feel like I have a better chance of making this tough shot than passing it, especially on the high school level.
Yeah.
But I do think that that's an area of growth for him, and it's not a bad thing. It's just Boozer's just that much better of a passer.
But here's my thing about that theory of I'm the coldest dude out here on the floor. There are gonna be nights, and maybe their schedule's a little different because it's Utah prep and it's not your typical high school. But there's still gonna be nights where you're gonna be like, you know what? I can go get 30 at halftime, right?
Mhm.
There are still opportunities for you to be like, you know what? Let me run some stuff and let me try to work on like you can get live reps because he's that talented.
Yeah.
Like it's not the same thing, but I had guys back in the day where I'm like, okay, look, you guys know, guys that I've trained, you know that y'all gonna beat this team down. You don't gotta go get 40 tonight because we know you're the best player on the floor. We know you're going to Division 1. You know you're gonna play professional basketball. Like, yo, let's work on these pocket passes.
Yeah.
Like, let's go get this shooter a couple of looks, and then, you know, by all means, do what you gotta do. And I do think that AJ will have opportunities to do that. It's just a matter of does he want to, because he can go get 40 every night, and 40 is sexy.
Yep. And he's the type of guy that's gonna have the ball in his hand so much he will be able to get 3 assists a night just because the usage is so high. But I
Yes.
would like to see him, and it could be the personnel, but I would like to see him like develop into a guy that can make plays out of pick and rolls. And like Anthony Edwards, for example. Anthony Edwards, I think, averaged 5 assists a game this year. But
He
I would
was
not say
six in the
Anthony,
playoffs too.
and I still say that he doesn't hit the roll, man, and he misses a lot of reads.
Yeah,
And
I
so I
agree.
I think that AJ could be like an Anthony Edwards where because the usage is so high, you are gonna see some pretty decent assist numbers. but I want to see him be able to hit the roll man
Mhm.
and give him a rim, a lob threat. But anyway, speaking of passing, Cayden Boozer had 9 assists, and you say you don't know if he's NBA. Share your thoughts on Cayden Boozer.
Well, his path to the NBA is not going to be like his brother's path. I don't personally think. Like his brother is ready to go soon. It
Yeah,
may take him a few years to get there, but I think he is a legit NBA prospect because he's a strong. He didn't get the height, Gene. That's still it's crazy how dudes is twins
and
and one
5 inch
is
difference.
it's a 5 inch difference. But I mean, if he's 6'3" and he fills out to be almost 200 pounds and he can shoot and he
Man, I
can run
seen
a
him
team.
6'4", 205. That's what
All
I
right.
saw
So look, if he's 6'4", 205, he is an NBA talent with his
at
shooting and
17.
passing at
Yeah,
17. It just doesn't look like his brother. But he's going to be a good point guard at Duke. I'm saying Duke because I'm assuming Duke, but he's going to be a good point guard at Duke, and I think he is an NBA talent point guard. It's just not. It's more of the Tyus Jones, Trey Jones complexion comparison than it is the one and done like his brother will end up being. Now he could end up being one and done if he wants to, but I think he's his path is just going to be different. But I mean, I could be wrong because he might mess around and average 14 and 7 just because he's going to get
5.
assists to his brother,
Yeah.
you know,
I,
and they're
I
going to be talented whoever they decide to go.
I think it's tough just to judge him when you see like him on the floor because I mean 30 and 9, and usually most games if you have 30 and 9,
Man,
you are like the headliner. He had 30 and 9, and it was like he's the last segment in this podcast. I mean,
right.
I like his game though. I think that he's going to be like your high IQ guard that has the size to play the 1 or the 2. I think he's going to be able to knock down open shots. And if you got like a dynamic guard that needs the ball in his hands, I think he's going to be able to complement him. I do think that he just knows how to play basketball. It's not sexy, it's not super exciting. He's not like an elite athlete. He just knows how to use his strength, he just knows his game and knows his advantages. And I think at 17, that's so hard to find because a lot of guys just want to come out and score. They're still trying to figure out who they are. And it definitely helps when your dad is a pro, but he just knows his game. He knows his role. And I think that he's going to be someone that in college, not going to be super spectacular, but I can see him putting up 14, 5, and 3 and shooting 38% from 3 and being like this steady presence on the court.
You know what? Let me backtrack. He will be a one and done. Yeah, he'll be a one and done.
Yeah, I
He's
think
not
so.
he's not a top 2 pick like his brother, but he's gonna be a one and done. Let
Yeah,
me
I
get that
think he's
out the
going to be
way.
steady.
He's gonna be one and done. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was tripping.
I think he's gonna be really, really steady. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast. We covered AJ Dybantsa and Cayden Boozer, and we didn't, I guess, have a full debate about it, but I think we're both on the same page to where it can go either way as the first pick in the 2026 NBA draft. But I do think that there is a world where Cayden Boozer could go number 1 because he seems like he can fit and play in any system. While I also think that there may be some teams or scouts that say AJ is a dynamic shot maker. Those type of athletes and shot makers, especially if he's legit 6'10",
Yeah.
are nearly impossible to find. So I'm looking forward to 2026. Shout out to Mike Jones, who's been a big supporter of the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast. And he's been saying for about a year now, 2026 is better than 2025. So we'll see. Once again, it's Rafael with my brother James. Thank you again for making the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. Now check out the Locked On NBA podcast because the local experts will keep you updated on all of the biggest storylines ahead of the season. You can find Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Once again, we are out of here.